Replacing the gauge on a CC810 panel. You are going to need a vise as well as a few tools, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a few wrenches, 3/8, 9/16, and 3/16 inches. With the gauge board secured in a vise, crack the jam nut connected to the instrument test valve. Do not fully disconnect the jam nut at this time, just loosen it. Next, we will remove the 4 screws holding on the seal clamps. As you remove the clamp screws, be sure to save the screw and the nut, as you will need them later on. Next, there are 3 gauge flange screws that must also be removed. Using the 3/16 wrench and Phillips screwdriver, disconnect these screws one at a time. And again, be sure to place the screws in a safe spot, as you will need them later on. Great! Finally, we can now fully disconnect the jam nuts that we loosened earlier. You should be able to easily disconnect these using your hand. However, you may still need your wrench. Attached to the replacement gauge will be a bag containing 2 O-rings. Place these O-rings into the O-ring groove on the bottom of each tube tailpiece. In preparation for installation, crack the nut on the bottom of each seal to loosen the clamp. The clamp should be able to jiggle just a little bit. Now the gauge can be lined up on the panel. Make sure that the O-rings are still located in the O-ring groove on the tube tailpiece. Align the tube tailpiece straight on with the test valve. This will ensure that the tube and test valve mate properly. It will also make it a lot easier to attach the jam nut to the test valve. Look at how easy it is. Tighten the jam nut so it is hand tight. Do not over tighten. Our final step will be to fully tighten the jam nut. With the panel mounted back in your vise, put the 3 gauge flange screws back in, starting with the top. Next, we will install the 4 seal clamp screws. If the holes do not line up properly, it may be necessary to ream out the hole. Do so using a 19/64 drill bit, and do not use one larger than a 1/4 inch. Perfect fit. Now do the same to the rest. Now we have 7 total screws installed, 3 attached to the gauge flange, and 4 attached to the seal bracket. It is now time to snug down the seal clamp nuts. It shouldn't take too much effort to do so, since we only loosened them about a 1/4 turn to a 1/2 turn. Now with the panel back in the vise, snug down the jam nut. Use 2 wrenches to do this, one to hold back on the test valve, and the second to tighten down the jam nut. The final step is to remove the protective sleeve over the transducer. This should be done just prior to or after panel installation if possible. With every replacement gauge, a new DIN connector is furnished. However, the old connector can be reused.